All right, are you ready, Ella?
Yeah.
Say action.
Action.
Okay, you want to say hi to Miss Esther and Miss Jenny's class?
Hi.
Hi, Miss Esther and Miss Jenny's class. We're going to read you one more Passover book. This one is called The Best 4 Questions by Rachelle Burke and illustrated by Melanie Florian. This is another book from PJ Library, which is a great service that will send anyone free Jewish books, one every month. It's wonderful. So we're going to read this PJ Library book called The Best 4 Questions, because on Passover we ask how many questions? 4, that's right. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Passover is almost here, said Marcy excitedly. Yes, Daddy said, so let's clean up these breadcrumbs. And tomorrow night, Marcy, it will be your turn to ask the 4 questions at the Seder. Hey, that's my job, said Jake. The youngest person at the Seder gets to ask the 4 questions, Jake, said Daddy. Now that Marcy's learned to read, it's her turn to ask them. She'll mess it up, grumbled Jake. Does Jake look happy or no?
No.
No, he's not happy. Jake doesn't want to give up his job asking the 4 questions. Marcy remembered her brother singing the 4 questions at Seder last year. The grown-ups all said they were proud of him. Marcy was sure she could do a great job with the 4 questions. After all, she knew a lot about questions. She asked them all the time. Why does that man have hair in his ears? Can I have a pet elephant? Are we there yet? Asking 4 questions on Passover would be easy, thought Marcy, and hers would be the best ones ever. Do you have any questions, Ella? No? I'll help you learn them, said her mother, but Marcy didn't want help. Can't I do it by myself, she asked. That's 1 question already, Marcy grinned and skipped off to her room. A little later, Marcy called out, should I wear my ruffle dress or the one with polka dots? Will Aunt Jessica be there? Can I bring my hamster? Do I need a sweater? Enough questions, said her mother. It's time to get ready for Seder. But Marcy was getting ready. Can't you see I'm working on my questions? She asked. She's trying to pick out something to wear. At Grandma and Poppy's house, in a year when you can travel to someone else's house for Seder, Marcy thought of more questions. Is that the Seder plate? What's on it? Can I carry it to the table? Grandma handed her the beautiful Seder plate and pointed to one of the little dishes. This is the horseradish. We call it maror, and this is the charoset made with apples and nuts. And here is a bone, an egg, and a sprig of parsley. Do you see the egg? Where's the egg? Yep, right there. Poppy sat at the head of the table with a big cushy pillow on his chair. Daddy opened...
Her eyes.
There's her eyes, yeah. Daddy opened his Haggadah to begin the Seder. Marcy wiggled in her seat, waiting for her big moment. Finally, it was time for the 4 questions. Poppy smiled. Are you ready, Marcy? How many matzo balls are in Grandma's chicken soup? Why does Uncle Benji always fall asleep during Seder? Are worms kosher for Passover? Is horseradish made from horses? Are those the 4 questions?
Where's Jake?
Jake is not in this picture. Are those the 4 questions? No. Marcy beamed. There's Jake. He looks surprised. Marcy beamed and looked around the table. Her mother's mouth dropped open. Grandma scratched her head. Poppy chuckled. What kind of questions are those? Asked Jake. You're supposed to ask the ones in the Haggadah. Marcy turned as red as the Seder wine and sank in her chair.
She's red.
She's red because she's embarrassed because she thinks she made a mistake. You know, said Poppy, thoughtfully, I've always wondered how many matzo balls there are in Grandma's chicken soup. And if I know Jake's eating habits, asked Daddy, we should probably find out if worms are kosher for Passover. Everyone took turns answering Marcy's excellent questions.
There's a lot of I can show you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Those are worms, and there's a lot of those. What are those?
There's a lot of worms.
There's a lot of worms and a lot of matzo balls.
Yeah.
There are 24 matzo balls in a pot of my chicken soup, said Grandma. Horseradish is a spicy vegetable, not a part of a horse, said Aunt Jessica. See, horseradish. Totally different things.
What's her name?
That's Aunt Jessica. Worms aren't kosher anytime, said her mother. Plus, they're just plain gross.
Worms.
There's more worms! And I do not fall asleep at the Seder, huffed Uncle Benji, though sometimes I do rest my eyes a bit. Then Poppy said, maybe Marcy would like to read the 4 questions from the Haggadah.
He's happy.
Marcy looked down at the book.
He's happy.
There were some awfully big words.
He's happy.
He's happy, you know why? Because she said, can Jake read them with me? Asked Marcy. That's another question, Jake said, but he grinned. He's happy.
Yeah.
They turned to the 4 questions page in the Haggadah and read together. Why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights we eat bread or matzah. Why do we eat only matzah tonight? On all other nights we eat all kinds of vegetables. Why do we eat maror tonight? On all other nights we do not dip our foods. Why do we dip our foods twice tonight? On all other nights we eat our meals sitting any way we like. Why do we lean on pillows tonight? When Marcy looked up from the book, everyone was smiling. She felt very proud. Good job, said Poppy. Uncle Benji would you like to give us the answers to the 4 questions? But Uncle Benji was fast asleep. The end. And that's the end of the best 4 questions. Can you say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.